Okay, so for this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a pop-up message using Shopify apps. So we're going to use Shopify API, of course. We're going to use Theme API as well as Assets API. We're going to create a liquid file and then upload that to a theme. And then inside of that liquid file, we're going to use a library, and it's called, I don't know the plugin actually. I think it's AlertifyJS if I remember correctly. But anyway, let's continue. Let's just open our FileZilla, and then I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this file create_popup. So popup.php. And then we're going to open our index.php as well as that createpopup.php. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference that file. So instead of orders.php, I'll use the create_popup.php. Like so. Yeah, I'm just going to save this. And then inside of this createpopup.php, I'm going to create a new PHP tag. And then what I'm going to do is to we're going to use the theme API. We're going to check the theme that we're using. So we need to get the theme that we're using. So let's open our browser, and I'm just gonna search in here Shopify theme API, and then I'll just select the REST admin API, and then it must be online store and theme. There we go. And then next is we're going to use this API endpoint. And then we're going to check if the role is main. So if it's main, that means that's the theme that we're currently using. Let's do that. Let's open our text editor, and we'll just create a new variable in here. I'll just call it theme. And we're going to use the function shop. I forgot actually the function, so this is a problem. It's been so long. It's been a while since I work on this. So I'm gonna need to open orders.php just for reference. So I have no idea how to create the API call. So it must be Shopify_call. Then first is the token. So I'll just add in here token. And then next is the shop URL __URL. And then the API endpoint. So let's just open our browser, and I'm just going to copy this endpoint. Just copy that. Let's go back, and I'll just paste it in here. And then we're going to create an array, and then it must be get. Let's just end that with semicolon. And then next is, of course, we're going to get the decoded response. So JSON decode, and then it must be inside of theme. And then response. And then we're just going to use JSON pretty print. Actually, you don't really need to do this. I'm just doing that because that's what my reference is telling me to do. And then for each, we're going to need to check all of the themes inside of our store. So theme, and then we're going to create current theme variable in here, and then we're going to check inside of that. So for each, and then current theme as key. So we're going to check if, I think that's value. Let me just open the reference role. So I'm just going to check the role. If role is equal to main, that means that's the theme that is being used. So we need the theme ID. I'm getting the theme ID, and it must be inside the value. So ID. What else do we need? I think just the ID. So I'll just use echo statement, and we're going to check if this code is actually working. So I'll just save this. Let's open our FileZilla, and let's just upload that to our server, and let's refresh our app, and let's see if that actually works. All right, so I'm not seeing any response, or it's not rendering anything. Maybe it's empty, or maybe I haven't saved the index. Actually, let me just echo something in here. So hello world, and that with semicolon. Let's upload that. Oh yeah, it's working. So that means, is it actually working? Let me just check the theme variable. So print R and then theme. Let's end it with semicolon. All right, so this action requires merchant approval. Oh yeah, that makes sense. So let's open our FileZilla and I'm going to update our install.php. So yeah, forget, we're going to use the right theme. We're gonna need read theme and then write theme. I'm not really sure if I'm correct. Let's actually open our browser. Yeah, this one. So read themes and write themes. And must be plural. So read themes and write themes. I'm not sure if we're going to use script tags. Yeah, let's just leave it like that for now. I'll save this. Then I'm going to upload that. So say yes. And then I'll just delete the app because we're going to reinstall the app. So I'll delete my app, delete. And then let's open our dashboard. And then I'm going to select the store. It must be the weekly how app test. All right, so invalid API keys or access token, an unrecognized login or wrong password. Hello world. Oh God, I think I broke it. All right, so shop admin authorize apps by weekly how token.php. What about the API key? Let's double check API key. Yeah, I think it's correct. Maybe my database. Yeah. I think that's why, because we still have my access token in that database. Yeah, since we don't have the webhooks, it's not gonna be deleted. So my store is still there. So you know what? Let me just create a new store instead. I don't want to open my hostinger or my server just for that. It's just, yeah, I wouldn't spend too much time for that. So I'll just create a new store, development store, and I'll just fill the form. And there you go. And I'm creating the app. What I'm going to do is just to install the app in this development store. So that's the problem. If you don't have a webhook to delete your database or delete the data in your database, yeah, that's a problem. So it's important to use webhooks. So I'll just select another store and I'm just going to use that development store that I created. Install app, install it anyway. Let's just wait for it to be installed. Oops, what happened? So invalid request, redirect URI is not whitelisted. So if you get an error like this, that means that the URI in here, in the URLs, you can see redirect URI. So this is the URI that we need to whitelist. So let's open our app setup for this app and it must be in the whitelist. So this one. So as you can see, it's now really set up correctly. Let's actually check apps by weekly how, and it's just token.php. It's supposed to be, yeah, we set it up incorrectly. So this must be apps and it's supposed to be this one. So I'll just replace this with this one because I have created a folder. So it's not in the root folder anymore. So I'll just save this and let's open my FileZilla. Hit save. So let's open my dashboard again. And then I'm going to reinstall that app. Select another store. I'll just close this. We don't need this anymore. And I'll select my store. And this time it should work. So weekly how tutorial app hasn't reviewed. All right, so install unlisted app. But by the way, in here we have the manage online store and there it is. We have theme. All right, so I think it should work now. So install unlisted app and that should redirect me to my app and it should display the current theme that I'm using. There it is. All right, so I have my theme debut and the role is main. Awesome. So I have the hello world as well. All right, let's just continue. Let me just open my create popup.php and I'll just get rid of this hello world. We don't need that anymore. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is to create the assets. So first is we can just create another variable in here. So it must be called assets or yeah, I guess assets, that's fine. And I'm just going to use the same function. Actually, let me just copy this instead. I don't want to waste too much time just typing again and again. And then I'll just rename this to assets. So for this one, this is going to be assets.json, but I'm going to add in here the themes. And then we're going to concatenate the ID of the current theme that I'm using. So I'll just concatenate the theme ID in here. I'm not sure if I'm correct. Actually, let's open our browser and it must be, where's my REST API? My documentation, what happened? So REST reference, online store. asset. There you go, asset. And what is the endpoint? All right, so I think it's this one. Admin API 20-10, and then we're going to concatenate theme ID. Yeah, I was correct. Assets.json, and then the response, everything inside of that theme. And we need to access the theme.liquid. That's what we need. So let's just go back to our Sublime. I'm not used to this anymore. All right, so after this, I'm gonna need to create the snippet code. So I'll just call this variable snippet, and then this is going to be a string, and then curly braces, and then percentage sign, and then we're going to use include, single quotation, and then alert.js, and then we're going to use that snippet. Next is, the problem is, let's open our theme folder or our themes code. So actions, edit code, and then we're going to use the theme liquid. And then I want to include that snippet code right before the body. This is the code that we're trying to do, actually include, and then the name of our liquid file. And then inside of this liquid file, I'm going to display or render script tag for alert.js. So actually, let me just open a new tab in here and just type AlertifyJS. That's what I'm trying to say. So AlertifyJS. But you know what the problem with this library or framework is that it's so big. Like there's a lot of files that needed to be referenced or needed to be uploaded or included in your theme. So not a good plugin, not a good framework. So if you have an alternative framework that if you want to use, yeah, feel free to do that. But this is what I use for testing. So for development. Let's just open the getting started page, and we need the following CDN. So I need to get the Alertify min.js. I also need to include the default theme and then the RTL version. So we have 3 requests that needed to be included. So yeah, let's do that. Let's open our VS Code, our Sublime. I'm so sorry. All right, so let's create another variable. I'll just call this body tag underscore body tag. And then this is going to be a string. And I'll just type in here body. So this is the element that we need to search in our theme.liquid. And then we're going to concatenate snippet and then the body. So the first is the include alert.js. And then after that is the body. And so I'm just going to create a new variable in here and I'll just call it new body tag. Okay, this is really awkward. So I'll just concatenate snippet and body tag like so. And then what I'm going to do next is to get the value of the current asset that I think we have a problem. I think we're going to specify in our array which template file or which liquid file we need to edit. So in here, we're going to use the asset, and then actually I'm going to create a new variable in here. So array, and this is going to be an array. Inside of this is going to be asset, and then the value of this would be another array, and then it should be key, and then the value is layout / theme.liquid. There you go. And then I'm going to use this variable in here like so. And then what I'm going to do next is to create a new variable in here, and it's going to be the theme liquid. And then I'll just use the assets variable, and it's going to be the asset first, and then the second array is the value. So the value of this is whatever is inside of our theme.liquid. And then what I'm going to do next is to use the function called str string replace, and then we're going to search this body tag and then replace it with the new body tag. So let's just create a new variable in here, and I'll just call this new theme underscore liquid. And then I'm going to use the function str replace. And then the search is the close body tag. And then we're going to replace that with the new body tag. So it must be new body tag. And then the last is the subject. So it must be the theme liquid. So I'll just end that with semicolon. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to check if the snippet code is in our theme file. If it is, then we're not going to include another snippet code. If there's no snippet code, then we're going to apply that snippet. So first, we're going to use if, and then we're going to use the function called strpos. And this function will give us an int value. So it's either 0 or the position of the string in that file. So we're just going to use in here, we're just going to compare that to a Boolean value. So the argument for this function, first is the asset. So this is going to be the assets value. So assets, and then asset, and then the second array is value. So in this value, we're going to check if the body tag, not the body tag, the snippet, if the snippet is in the value of our theme file or theme.liquid file. If it is, then this is going to be either 1 or the position of where is the snippet in the file or theme file. If it's 0, then it's going to be true, and that way we're able to add the snippet code. And so inside of this, we're just going to use the put method. So just type in here assets, and then we're going to, actually, let's just copy this. And I'll just paste it in here. And then we're just going to change this to put. And then for the array, we're just going to create actually an array in here. I'll just create a new array. And then inside of this, first is the asset. And then this is going to be another array. And then inside of this, it's going to be the key and then the value. So the value is the new theme liquid. So new theme liquid, and then the key is the layout / theme.liquid. And make sure you end that with comma. So we're passing this array in our put method, and that should update our theme. So let's actually save this. Let's try. Let's open our FL Studio. And then let's open our app. I'm just going to refresh this. And then let's just refresh our theme.liquid. And let's check if that is actually under, there we go. Now we have the include alert.js just before our closing body tag. Awesome. So the next thing that we're going to do is just to create the alert.js liquid file. There's two ways to do this. First is to manually create it in this page, or second, we use API. So let's just actually do that in our VS Code or Sublime. I'll just create a new variable in here. I'll just call it snippet underscore file or snippet code or snippet file, or why am I having trouble naming this? Snippet liquid, and then inside of this, I'm so used of VS Code now. I keep using curly braces. And then next is inside of this, we're going to add the CDN. So let's open our alertify.js. First is the JavaScript. Let's open our VS Code or our Sublime. I'm so sorry. And I think it should be single quotation mark instead of double quotation mark. There we go. So script. Next is the, oh yeah, actually we need to apply the CSS too, but it should be in the head, not in the, all right, this is a problem actually. All right, so I think I'm gonna need to create another snippet file for CSS. Let's do that. Let's open our Sublime. All right, I think I know what to do now. So I'll just copy this actually. I'll just duplicate that. And let me just rename this to, let me just create a comment in here. And let me just duplicate that. And then in here, I'll just call this create the snippet or snippet code. Snippet code for CSS. I'll just copy this comment. I'll paste it just before the include. And then this is for JS. And then this one, I'm going to call this alert CSS. So this is my snippet. It will check if this is, and I'm just gonna change the body. Instead of body, I'll look for the head. And then I'll rename this to head tag. And then I'll rename this to new head tag. Head tag, head tag. and then new head tag. All right, so I'll just save this. And then what I'm going to do next is just to re-upload that to our server. And I'm going to refresh our app. And that should update our theme liquid file. All right, so we got no errors. Let's refresh our theme liquid. And let's check if it actually imported that snippet code. So just before the head, it must be included there. And there it is. Now we have the include alert CSS. There it is. That's pretty easy. All right, next, let's just create all of that file. Let's go back to our Sublime. And then we have in here the snippet liquid for our JavaScript. I'll also create the snippet liquid for the CSS. This should be snippet CSS. And then I'll just name this one JS. And then next, I'm going to replace this with the CD and from Alertify. So I'll just copy this Alertify mean.css. I'll just paste it in here, but I also need the other one. So I'll just press enter and I'll copy the RTL version. This one. Let's just go back, paste it in here. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is just to create this two file. So I'll create two arrays. So array for CSS and then array for the JS. So first is the CSS. So in here, this must be an array, of course. And then this one too, this is going to be an array. And then inside of this, I'm going to access the asset. And then this is also going to be an array. And then of course, we need the key and then the value. So the value is the snippet CSS liquid. And for the key, I'm gonna need to access the snippet. And then I'm going to call this alert CSS.css. Let's actually double check. Alert CSS. Oh, not CSS, supposed to be liquid. All right, I think we're good. We just need to do the same thing for the other array. So in here must be an asset and then another array. And then inside of this is going to be a key and then snippet and then alert JS.liquid and then value. Now we're gonna need the snippet JS liquid. Awesome. All right, so I think this is going to be snippets. Snippets. There you go. Let's double check actually. Where's my theme? Snippets. Yeah, there it is. Snippets. All right, so the last thing that we need to do is just use API and then send all of this code in our theme. So I'll just create a new variable and I'll just call this snippet CSS. And then I'll just copy the Shopify call. And I'll just rename this to snippet CSS, this one too. And then the array must be the array CSS. And then I'll just duplicate this. And that would be for the JS. So JS, I'll just copy this, replace the variable with snippet JS. And then for the array, I'll replace it with the array, like so. So I think we're good now. If I save this, let's open and upload that to our server. Let's open our app. I'll just refresh our app. All right, so we got no errors. Let's open our theme files once again. Let's refresh. And that should create the two files in our snippets folder. So we have in here, there it is. We have the alert CSS and then alert.js. And if we click the file, and there it is, we have the following CSS code. And we also have in here the CDN for the AlertifyJS. Awesome. So if we open our store actually, so let's inspect the elements and let's look for Alertify. There it is. Now we have the alertify.main.css and the RTL. And there it is. Yeah, we're good. We don't have any errors. We also have the alertify.main.js. Awesome. So the next thing we need to do is just to use that, to use all of that files, use the framework and display something. So I'm not sure anymore how to use this. So let's check in here. Start coding. Alertify alert ready. So if I run this, yeah, it should display that. Let's try. So I'll just copy this. Come on. Copy. Come on. Let's copy this. Let's go back to our Sublime. And instead, I'm going to add another line in our snippet code for our JS. Or we can just do that in our snippet JS liquid. Underneath of this, we can just add another script. Let's just close that. And then we can just copy or paste the code. There we go. Alertify, alert, and then ready. Instead of single, we're going to use double. And then we can just type in here, woohoo, we are now live. Let's save that. Let's upload that to our server. And let's try. I'll just refresh my app and that should update my files. And there it is. Let's just update or refresh our page. And there we go. We have the Alertify alert. Woohoo, we are now live. And then let's just refresh our store. And that should show, there it is. Woohoo, we are now live. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have now created a pop-up message in our Shopify store using Alertify, using Assets API, and then Theme API. And actually, I think we have a problem with our CSS. As you can see, the text is not working or the style is not perfectly working. I don't know why. But yeah, I think it's working. It's draggable as well. I think it's just the CSS. You can just customize that. Or you can just customize our theme by replacing the CDN with the default. So I'll just copy this and just go back to our Sublime code and just paste that again in here. Maybe we need to do that actually because we're using the default. Yeah, let's just save this. Let's try. Let's open FL Studio. FL Studio, why? FileZilla. Because it's FileZilla and FL Studio. I always say that. Never mind. Let's just open our browser again. And let me just refresh my app. And that should update my files. And let me just refresh our theme files. Let's see if that actually updated all of my files. There it is. Let me just refresh my store. There it is. Now it's fixed. So we have the alert, but the X is still there. I'm not sure what's the problem. But you know what? Maybe it's the framework. I'm not really sure. But there it is. Now we have created a pop-up. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and make sure to smash whatever you want to smash outside. Never mind, actually. I'll see you next time.